So we're in New Hampshire this afternoon, test driving a 28-foot Featherlight gooseneck trailer, fully enclosed. It's a car hauler with 8 feet of overhang and a 20-foot deck. About 4,000 pounds empty weight, and we're in our diesel F-150. It's a pretty good truck for this trailer. It's got a max gooseneck trailer rating of 8,500. I think 1,600 or 1,700 pound payload. And so the 800 pound pin weight of this trailer uses up about half our payload. And as long as you load the trailer appropriately, you won't use up the rest of the payload, because that payload number obviously includes not just the pin weight of the trailer on the hitch, but also the drivers, the fuel in the fuel tank, I should say the driver and passengers, and all their, whatever else they're carrying. And so been driving it for about 15 minutes. It pulls pretty well, to be honest. You don't really notice it back there. Very, very stable. And that's the beauty of a gooseneck, because you're not, your trailer hitch is not behind the bumper of the truck. It's right over the rear axle. And so as a result, it's a very, very stable towing trailer. We got the truck in tow haul mode, and you can see the RPMs going up because we're on the downhill. And if we turn on cruise control, the engine is going to try its best to keep us at a constant speed. But the problem is, with this engine, the 3.0 Power Stroke diesel, it doesn't have a turbo brake or exhaust brake. And so it's very, very limited in what it can do to slow you down when you're going downhill, especially with a heavy trailer, as opposed to something like a 6.7 Power Stroke or the Duramax that we own.
At the traffic circle, take the 3rd exit onto East Broadway.
And with a heavy-duty diesel, they all come with an exhaust brake now. The best one being on the 6.7 Cummins. People have some complaints about the one on the Power Stroke. Haven't heard much about the modern Duramax, the L5P Duramax. But the LML Duramax that we own, the exhaust brake works just fine on that thing, in terms of controlling a heavy trailer going down a pretty steep hill. Again, it's only a 28-foot gooseneck, and so it's not going to have that much trouble on tight turns, like going around this roundabout here, as opposed to something like our 48-foot gooseneck, which, it's like you're towing a semi-trailer. And so that can be a little bit tricky going around tight turns, like around a roundabout, or making a 90 degree turn on a city street or something of that nature. But again, a 28-foot trailer, no big deal. We got the towing mirrors on this truck. We had them on our Power Boost, and we put them on the Power Stroke diesel F-150, because this is the one that we expect to do most of our towing with on a trailer this size, mostly because of MPGs. The Power Boost being having a gas burning engine just gets awful MPGs when it's towing. Even when it's towing our 12-foot enclosed bumper pull, it gets absolutely horrendous MPGs. Believe it or not, our Duramax towing a 48-foot gooseneck trailer, fully loaded, we had a 19,000 pound trailer hitched up to it. Our total weight was around 28,000, including the truck and trailer. And it was getting like 9.5 or 10 MPGs going through the mountains of Pennsylvania with a diesel engine, and then going on that exact same route with the Power Boost 3.5 gas burning engine, we would get like 6 or 8 with a 12-foot trailer. So a trailer that's a quarter of the length, and maybe 5,000 pounds, maybe. So a quarter of the length, about a quarter of the weight, would get worse MPGs being towed by a gas engine than a trailer 4 times the length and 4 times the weight being towed by that Duramax diesel. So that's the reason why we put the gooseneck hitch on this truck, the diesel F-150, and we had the towing mirrors switched onto it from our Power Boost, because of the fact that it's so much more economical under heavy load. You see our CarPlay, as we discussed a couple days ago. It now takes up the full 12-inch width of the Sync 4 screen, which is very, very nice. And the diesel gets, I think, 250 horsepower, maybe 400, just over 400 pound-feet of torque. And that should be enough to get this thing where we need to go with it. You know, we'll find out when we get on the freeway. Guessing it's going to be okay at 55, 60, 65 miles an hour. You don't want to go much faster than that with a big trailer. And we'll find out shortly. Really just a couple minutes. But again, for people who say, no, you shouldn't be doing gooseneck towing or fifth wheel towing with an F-150 or any light duty pickup. Actually, yes, you can. As long as you manage the single most critical number, which is your payload. And that's the single biggest flaw or single biggest drawback of a light duty pickup when you're towing a fifth wheel or a gooseneck. Because again, a light duty pickup in this case has like 1,600 pounds of payload. In the case of our Power Boost, has like 1,480. That's going to limit severely the type of trailer you can tow, the weight of the trailer you can tow, because the pin weight on, say, this 28-foot gooseneck, like I said, it's 800 pounds empty. It's got a GVWR, a max gross vehicle weight of 14,000, and at 14,000 pounds fully loaded on the rear axles, you're going to have, what's 20% of that? 2,800 pounds of pin weight, which is double the payload of this truck. So you can load it to maybe 7,000 pounds on the axles, and then another, call it 1,300 pounds on the hitch, for a grand total of about 8,300 pounds. But that's using your payload to the absolute maximum extent, and then you can hold maybe another couple hundred pounds, 100 or 200 pounds for the driver, and that's it. And maybe a little bit of fuel. So again, you're not towing a 12 or 13,000 pound gooseneck trailer with a light duty pickup. The Power Boost is rated for a 12,000 pound trailer, but that's conventional, and that's bumper pull, because of the fact that it's got the max tow package. Our Power Boost does. This one does not. And so the max tow package takes your gross combined weight rating up from about 16,000 pounds to about 18,000 pounds, again, in the F-150. Which means with the weight of the truck at about 6 or 7, you can tow about an 11 or 12,000 pound conventional trailer. Which means you're putting about 1,000 pounds of tongue weight on that bumper pull hitch. Which means you're having to use a weight distributing hitch. And so it's ironic, but you can actually tow a much heavier conventional trailer with a bumper pull hitch than you can a gooseneck trailer, even though a gooseneck is a lot more stable and safe of a trailer. And that is entirely because of the fact that you are limited by your payload. And so the weight on the hitch can only be, let's just call it about 1,200 pounds. All right, so we're going 65 miles an hour. The truck is in 7th gear. We're on a slight uphill rise. The boost is just about pegged. Look at it. We will set the cruise at 65 and just kind of see what happens. We're going to get off here in a mile and a half. The self-driving system, or the lane centering system, is fully active. We're resetting the MPGs right now. And so we'll see what kind of gas mileage this thing gets going 65 on the highway. 12.7, 12.5. Not bad. We're already doubling what we get with the Power Boost towing a small 12-foot enclosed trailer. 16, 17. Obviously, that's not going to keep up. 18. It tows very smoothly. There's zero trailer sway. You can feel the engine working hard on these uphill, on these rises here. You can feel it working very hard. And when you go downhill, obviously the engine's gonna not be working hard at all. But the problem is, as we've discussed, with a light duty that either has a gas or a diesel engine, there isn't a single one of them that has an exhaust brake or an engine brake. And so, you know, that's the fatal flaw. These light duty pickups, when they're doing heavy towing, their ability to safely manage going downhill. All right, we're jumping off. You saw we got in the upper teens on the gas mileage. No issues really at all. And you're going to see here as we get back onto the highway going south. This is I-93 here in southern New Hampshire. It's going to probably take a while to get up to speed. You can hear the engine working hard to slow it down. It's revving 2,500, 3,000 RPMs. And it's not doing that good a job, again, because there's no restriction to the flow of air into and out of the engine because there's no turbo brake, otherwise known as an exhaust brake. And so again, the two major drawbacks of a light duty like an F-150, payload and the ability to control the trailer going downhill by virtue of the engine braking. But what we don't notice is there is no like squirm or squat. You don't feel the back end getting squirrely. The way we did like in our Ram 3500 with the 5.9 Cummins, when we had a lot of when we had a big heavy trailer, we put our 48-foot gooseneck on that thing. Again, our 03 Ram 5.9 Cummins single rear wheel. And a lot of people with a single rear wheel and SRW truck say that it just gets kind of squirmy when you start to load a lot of payload into it, or when you put a heavy trailer with a lot of hitch weight, a lot of pin weight. Because the single rear wheel truck is a lot narrower than a dually, and you're starting to max out the springs on it. And so it starts to kind of squirm a little bit. That's the best way to describe it. This thing though, no issues. It's feeling solid and stable. So we're accelerating onto the highway. Again, look at the boost meter there, the boost gauge. It's basically pegged. Upper 20s of boost. And we're accelerating, let's just say gradually, onto the highway here. If we floored it right now, yeah, it'll get to mid 60s, setting the cruise. We're gonna reset the MPGs. We got 2.5 miles until the exit, and we'll see how it does. It's 65 on the interstate. Now going 93 south. Again, we're loving the 12-inch screen now that the CarPlay uses all of it, the entire width of it. The lane centering system, which is essentially self-driving, a primitive version of Tesla Autopilot, works just fine with a gooseneck trailer. We've noticed on a couple of occasions with a bumper pull trailer that it starts to kind of make the trailer sway a little bit, and then it doesn't, and then it like overreacts, and you start to have a lot of trailer sway when you're using the lane centering system. No issues again with the gooseneck because it's just an inherently stable trailer. And so I'll be perfectly honest, you can't even feel it back there. And everybody says that it's a cliche, but you just can't feel it back there. because of how stable it is. The only time you feel its weight is when you're accelerating or decelerating. And then the truck is going to be working hard. Check out the MPGs. 18. At a steady 65 miles an hour with a 28-foot gooseneck trailer. That's not bad in the least. Now, again, we're not loaded. It's only, it's empty. So it's like 4,000, maybe 4,500 pounds empty weight. But it is towing just fine back there. And this is a Featherlight 4941. I think that's the model number. Okay, we're about to get off the highway. Look at this here. This is ridiculous. 22, there's no way. I think that's because we did a lot of coasting. All right, so this truck and trailer have passed the test of how does it feel on the interstate. No, it doesn't feel like it's about to get away from us. It doesn't feel remotely like we're about to lose control of it. It's not, again, the rear axle isn't squirming, the trailer isn't swaying at all, in the least. I'll just point out again, as you go up these uphill rises, the engine's working good and hard. And you're not going to get a ton of speed, but then again, you don't need a ton of speed, or you shouldn't want a ton of speed. The times, you know, the problem you're going to have is if you're, for instance, on a interstate that has 2 lanes in each direction, and you're trying to pass somebody going uphill. And so maybe they're going 60, and you're trying to pass them going 65 or 70. This truck's going to struggle to do that on a steep uphill climb. Like you get a lot of on Interstate 80, for instance, going through Pennsylvania. There's a lot of very, very steep uphill climbs. What you're not going to have, though, is like we have in our Duramax, the 5th gear in that thing has started to slip to the point where it goes into limp mode and it loses 95% of its power, and you got to pull over, turn off the engine, turn it back on, and then get back on the highway. It's the limp mode in that thing is very unsafe. It does not give you a chance to safely pull over. It just kills the power, and it's basically like the engine has died and you're coasting. And so with that truck now, short of having a transmission rebuild, we've had to like shift from 4th in manual mode directly into 6th, and then back to 4th and back to 6th. It's you know, we're not sure how long we're keeping that truck. But that's only when it's towing heavy. Like I said, with like a 19,000 pound trailer and it's loaded up to, let's say, 28,000 pounds all told. Pulling into a gas station here. Again, compared to a 48-foot, it's not even remotely difficult to maneuver. They're pretty tight turns. I'm gonna jump out and do a walk around. You can take a look, see what you think. You see those towing mirrors, when they're extended, they come out almost 2 feet. So there it is. It actually looks really good back there. Again, a Featherlight 4941. Dual axle. Each axle is 7,000 pounds. It's got a ramp in the back, and obviously that's for car hauling. We do a lot more freight hauling, and so, you know, if we were building it from scratch or custom ordering it, we would get it with a set of barn doors. You notice the latch there, it's very, very nice. You don't have a separate padlock. The latch itself is locking. Same thing on this side. You notice it's got these little, it's like they're vortex generators or something. Maybe to improve the gas mileage a little bit. And there's no padlock on this door either. It's just like an RV lock.